Does the Yes campaign have something to hide?
So why are you walking away? It sounds like you've got something to hide. I think this is the reason why the majority of Australians are going to vote no, because you're not being transparent. Hello. How are you? So what's your elevator pitch today?
We just wanted to say vote yes.
I interject there and just say that this lady was actually quite lovely and pleasant, in stark contrast to.
Grab my phone.
And we started off by having a really nice conversation, and I was actually doing the Yes campaign justice by showing them that they do actually have activists who happen to be good people. But although she seemed nice, friendly, and pleasant, she was very vague on the details. As you can see here, I asked her, "What's your elevator pitch?" "Well, we want Australians to vote yes." So not giving a lot of detail to start off with. Even after I start probing her, she still provided a lot of vague information.
And could you give me like an elevator pitch as to why Australians should vote yes?
Well, it's the right thing to do. There are First Nations people. In the past, basically directions come from Canberra and non-Indigenous people. This will allow Indigenous people to have a say in what's best for them.
Okay.
That makes common sense.
Why do you think the majority of Australians, or the polls are saying the majority of Australians are against or are for voting no? What do you think the reason is behind that?
I think a lot of misinformation is out there.
Right.
And people just don't realise it's a very simple thing. It's a voice. It's not going to affect their backyard or their life. It might make the First Nation people's life better.
Why do you think there are Indigenous people who are against the voice? A number of prominent Indigenous people.
I think that's what we call a society.
Right.
Any society will have people with differing opinions. Yeah.
Right. Well, what's your message to them? How would you sell this idea to them?
I don't think it's my role to sell to
Right.
Indigenous people. I think, I'm a white person speaking on their behalf. No.
Right. So there's Anthony Mundine. You probably heard of him. He's a very famous. So he's a famous boxer. So he thinks that there's an agenda, hidden agenda, behind that. So how would you allay that? I mean, granted that you're saying that you're a white, which is that's fine. But there's got to be something that the Yes campaign should, in their marketing, should consider to address that, to allay that concern. So people like Anthony Mundine, you've got Lydia Thorpe also thinks that there's an agenda.
Well, Lydia Thorpe wants more, I think.
Right.
That. Anthony Mundine, I'm really not sure why he's doing it.
Right.
But people have different opinions here, right?
Right. So his opinion is that world economics, it's an agenda that's driven by the World Economic Forum.
I have no idea where he gets that idea from.
Right.
It's a simple voice to plumb. So I can't see why the World Economic Forum would be even interested.
Right.
Not my level of knowledge.
Right.
So if you're going to be promoting a public issue and you're going to be out in a public place on the street trying to convince people to vote a certain way, shouldn't you be across that information? Shouldn't you be on top of all the arguments that are provided by the opposing side and be in a position to be able to counter those arguments?
Right. From his perspective, so I heard him speak at a rally, I think it was in Sydney or it was in Melbourne. I saw a video of it. I'm actually not a no campaigner. To be upfront with you, I'm not part of the no campaign. I'm not going to vote yes though. So I'm going to be transparent with you.
Okay.
I'm going to be voting no.
Do you know you're being recorded?
I'm in a public place.
So just to clarify, the whole time I was holding up the camera like this the whole time. So from the outset, this lady who was quite lovely knew that I was recording her.
And this is public forum and it's a public debate.
Turn that off.
Yeah, but it's my right to record because you're.
I don't want to record it.
Doesn't want to be posted on Facebook.
How would you convince Indigenous people who are voting no to the campaign? I'm in a public. It's my right to record. Public place. This is a public issue.
So if you're going to be out there as activists in public promoting an issue on behalf of the government, on behalf of the establishment, the ruling Labor Party, and you're trying to convince people to vote a certain way, you should be expected to be recorded in public. So not only are you going to be approached by members of the public, you should expect to be approached by members of the media, by journalists, and also citizen journalists. So we live in an age where anyone essentially can whip out their smartphone with their cameras and become a citizen journalist and then post that up on their blog and Facebook. I mean, that's just meant to be expected and meant to be a given. So I think these activists are being totally disingenuous. In addition to that, I'm giving them the opportunity to address hundreds, maybe even thousands of people. And that's an opportunity for them to reach more people. So they should welcome the fact that I'm recording them and giving them a platform. Any activists that are being transparent should be welcoming of that, unless of course you have something to hide and you're not being transparent with the public. Then it's a different story.
There's a number of Indigenous activists. Are you here on government funds? Is the Labor Party funding you with taxpayer money?
No, absolutely no funding. Doing it of my own.
Up until now, I was having a respectful conversation with her. Why not? You're in you should, if you don't wish to engage with members of the public and be recorded, then you shouldn't be involved in these issues. You shouldn't be involved in these issues.
I'll be involved in whatever issues I like.
Because you're not being transparent.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How long have you been talking with the...
About 5 years. I've had a respectful conversation with this lady, and she's quite articulate.
But we don't want to... I don't want to go.
But you shouldn't be involved. If you don't want to be recorded in public, you shouldn't be in a public place promoting public issues. I mean, you should be open and transparent, right? So my question is, the polls, what do you think about the polls that are saying the majority of Australians are going to vote no? First of all, what's your opinion and how would you address that?
What's my personal view to do with regarding polls?
Because you're in a...
Why do you care what my view about polls are?
Because
polls are independent from me.
But how would you... What are your thoughts?
Okay,
what's your...
But I'm just trying to understand your rationale.
So my rationale is, how would you convince? There's a perception that the majority of Australians are going to vote no. So what's your elevator pitch to Australians?
What's the relevance of polls?
So you think the polls are... You think they're not accurate?
I'm asking, why are you asking me about polls?
Because there's a perception that the majority of Australians are going to vote no. So you think that's inaccurate?
No, I just don't understand why you're...
What are your thoughts?
Talking to me about that.
Why not?
What's the point? I'm just trying to understand.
Because it's because there's a referendum. I'm a public citizen.
Sure.
So I'm a ratepayer of Glenira. So I'm seeing you in a yes shirt, which is fine. I respect that.
Sure.
You're promoting a referendum. You're in a public place. So I've come up to you and I'm asking you a question.
Sure.
There's a perception that the majority of Australians are going to vote no. So my question, there's a few parts to my question. One of my questions is, what's your elevator pitch? So obviously you've got an elevator pitch.
Sure.
You're trying to convince people to vote a certain way in the referendum. So what is it?
First of all, what are you recording for?
Why not? I'm just recording I'm going to post this on Facebook.
Okay.
It's my right to record. I'm in a public place.
I'm not suggesting it's not. I just want to understand what your motives are. And
my motives are basically just to find out what your position is for the yes vote.
So why do you need to record that? We can just have a one-on-one conversation.
Why can't I record it?
You can. I just want to understand what your motives are.
Because it's
I've had lots of conversations with people on both sides.
Fair enough.
None of them were recording videos. So it's a bit hard
so I mean, I don't have a hidden... So you know that I'm recording. It's not a hidden camera. I'm quite clearly holding this up. We're in a public place.
Sure.
You're promoting a public issue. So I think it's quite reasonable for me to record you, to ask you what your elevator pitch is. How are you going to convince Australians to vote yes?
Sure.
What's your rationale?
Again, you're not answering any of my questions. So if you
I thought I did.
Conversation, you didn't tell me why you're doing this. Really, you didn't give me a good reason, because we don't need to record video interactions when we have.
Why not?
Something. You actually have to ask permission. You cannot.
I'm in a public place. Legally, I'm allowed to record you without your permission.
Put my picture up there and I'll see mine.
Okay.
And I don't think you...
That's fair. Look, at first we had actually a good discussion. You were actually quite articulate. I've had a good conversation with you at the start. So why are you walking away? It sounds like you got something to hide. I think this is the reason why the majority of Australians are going to vote no, because you're not being transparent with the public.
So let me know in the comments, folks. I'm curious to know your feedback. Was I being polite and respectful, or was I being rude and out of line? I'm curious to hear from both sides, from both the yes and no voters. Let me know your feedback.